Are you new to randonneering but are not quite ready to tackle the long distances associated with brevets? Or are you one of those super experienced randonneers that have achieved multiple super randonneer titles and completed multiple grand randonnees, but still would like to continue to ride randonneer events? Then populaires may just be what you need to help you to get going. To learn more about populaires, I've turned to our two guest speakers tonight. That is Joshua Haley and Fred Chagnon from Ohio Randonneers and the Ontario Randonneers respectively, to tell us more about populaires.
Yeah, populaires are typically shorter than brevets, although it's just like permanents, right? They're not sanctioned by ACP. They're typically club sanctioned, right? So, insurance and all that is in effect. We don't typically do proof of passage on populaires, so they're really just group rides or individual rides, right? So it's still like, an allure libre kind of approach to cycling. But I say they're typically shorter. So the reason we do them is one major reason is that populaires are often run in the early part of the year when many cyclists have been sitting in their house for a few months, and we don't want to hit May, throw a 200 on the calendar and expect everybody's just going to be fresh as a daisy to go ride it. So one habit might be to spend March and April doing shorter rides, 50K, 70K, 100K, 160K, those sorts of things, right? Just to get people up to speed. But we've found that populaires are really good at, basically there are two target markets, I feel, for populaires, other than people who are just kind of getting their legs back under them. One is new rando curious, potentially new randonneurs, right? Very good market there. And the other one is the anciens, right? The past their prime randonneurs who still want to participate in the club, but maybe just aren't riding 300s, 200s anymore. But there's still a lot that you can learn when you're sharing the road with somebody who's done Paris-Brest-Paris 5 times. Right. So what we've started to do in our club is we've started to pair up populaires with every single 200-kilometer brevet that we do, right? So that a populaire runs alongside the brevet, right? So that we start at the same time. It's just that the route is different, right? So the populaire and the brevet start along the same lines, but at some point the populaire will peel off, and because it's not as long. This gives new riders the chance who are on the populaire, because perhaps they were intimidated by the idea of a 200-kilometer brevet, but now they get to ride with the folks riding the 200, and they'll typically look at this and conclude, these folks are not superheroes. They're not any different than me. There's probably no reason why I can't do this, right? So we're using it as an on-ramp, but also as a way to bring some of those folks out of retirement to also ride with those new people.
So populaires for us and Rusa are fairly similar. We do run them as brevets with proofs of passage, pre-existing routes, and there's kind of two flavors. There's the calendared event, which is the mass start, just like a brevet, and we do have populaire permanents, which you can run yourself. The cool thing is, once a route is approved, we really only need about a week of heads up to actually get on the calendar as a calendared event, which is why Hamid sends out those emails that get popped up. And we use them kind of similar, it sounds like, to what Fred's doing, really encourage people to get out there. And they're also just actually a pretty awesome distance to ride, right? Like if you're going out for 100K, hopefully there is no universe in which you're looking at getting done after dark. It tends to be a little bit more of a social ride, right? Like you're starting 1,000K. Everyone means business. Everyone's thinking about what time they're going to get in to sleep, and you're kind of heads down. Versus you're doing 100K. That looks like a really good coffee shop. I would like a cup of coffee, and wasting a half an hour is absolutely no problem. So I find, at least when we're hosting them, they tend to be much more social events than some of the longer brevets. So it's very similar to randonneuring, but kind of more so in some ways. Except for the sleep deprivation, which doesn't usually occur. Rusa has put together an award for a calendar season that really leverages kind of the different distances. That it's almost like a club to 200K progression of a 100K, 125, 150, and then you make the jump. And going from 40-mile club ride to 200K is kind of insane, but going from 150K to, adding another 50K is much more manageable as far as, kind of mental motivation.
Yeah, is that the ruler achievement?
Yeah.
Yeah, we totally stole that idea this year too. Just because we have so many more populaires on the calendar as well. So we took the idea, we borrowed it anyway, and instead of a progression, because that would require us to build routes that are specifically that we don't quite have the inventory of routes to manage that progression. So all we're saying now is if you do 4 populaires and your first 200-kilometer brevet within a season, that's our ruler. Some people might only want it their first year, and then after that, it's just super randonneur or some whatever happens beyond.
Yes.
But it's a carrot to chase.
So it's one of Rusa's every calendar, every month for 12 consecutive months. So there is an R12, which I discussed earlier, 200K up. The P12 is populaires, 199 kilometers and down, doing that for 12 consecutive months.
That sounds more possible. We should yeah. So we have the concept of we call it the O12 because Ontario, but it's brevets or permanents every month. Of course, we have this issue with December, January, February, March, where it's really hard to achieve 200 kilometers.
Yeah.
If I had a 25K, when it doesn't matter what's going on outside, I could probably pull off 25K in a month. So yeah, maybe a populaire around the calendar would be a good thing to do. I'll think about it.
Yep, and because we all are excessive with randonneuring, there's also an award for doing that 10 times.
Of course. Oh, 10 times. Okay.
10 times.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, minimum of 10 years. If you do it consecutively, you can get the Ultra P12.
The P120? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In summary, populaires are an ideal randonneuring event to help new randonneurs to become familiar with the principles of riding brevets, and for experienced randonneurs to maintain their participation in this exciting discipline of cycling. Thank you to our 2 guests for enlightening us about populaires. In our next video, we will discuss coffeeneering, which involves drinking coffee and riding bicycles. Until the next time we meet, please ride safely.